Hello everyone. So in this particular session we're going to learn about object-oriented programming with Java. So the main intention of this particular sessions are to learn a Java with the help of object-oriented concept. And here in this particular first session we're going to just have a brief introduction about the different programming languages which we have already, and what is the benefits of the different languages like Java, .NET or PHP or whatever it is. Okay, so before I'm going to start with this, okay, I hope you guys already have a bit idea on the previous programming languages like C or else C++ or else some other languages like COBOL, Pascal and all. Okay. So the main intention of this particular session will be we trying to make sure that we also write a particular application, or we also develop some kind of application with the help of object oriented, and that too we choose a language called Java in this. Okay, so first thing is, why Java? What is the history behind Java, and what are the languages are presented before Java? Okay, so we'll first conclude in that. Then after that, first we will try to write a simple program with Java now. So if possible, we'll try to rectify what are the different modifications has been done from C to Java, as well as what are the important factors which we have to concentrate in Java. So we basically concentrate in this particular application. Alright, so let me talk about a simple application now. This is what I'll just start with my session now. So here I'm going to talk about object-oriented programming with Java. In this, so what is a big concept we need to learn in this part is what is object-oriented programming system. So I'm not going to start directly with object-oriented programming system. Before I'm going to start with this object-oriented programming system, let me have a brief introduction. What is the basic concept which is already presented? Okay, so in this there are three couple of different languages are presented. First thing is unstructured programming, and followed by structured programming, and followed by object-oriented programming. These are the different languages which basically we all see. So if I'm talking about unstructured programming, this is purely programming languages which we basically used in system understandable language. As you can see, the earlier versions as like a microprocessor, application development, all this comes under unstructured data. And let me go to another one, something called it as programming, structure programming. What is this structure programming here? As whatever the languages we have learned, like C, it is comes under the structured programming, is where the entire program of C which executed in a sequential manner, where your start of main function till end of main function. Okay, so I'm going to give you a demonstration on that in the next couple of minutes time. So but the thing is, the major intention of this structure is we have a one structure format will be, or also we can call it as this particular structure as, we can also call it as procedural oriented programming also, right? So we will conclude on that also now. Okay, and the next version of object oriented programming is, means to say what is object oriented now. So for example, when it is comes with object oriented concept, or when it comes to object oriented programming, it is simply to say that if anyone wants to get the data of your application, or else for example when you want to get from some application data, or else as a user you want to pass some data to it, there are two concepts. For example, as I'm a user, I want to pass some data to some other application, or else I want to get the data from other application to my application. So what is this object oriented programming basically do? This object oriented programming do, when you want to send the data, it is an object, or else when you want to get the data from application to your application, that's also simple with an object. Means what? There is no much complexity in our development of object oriented. First of all, it is pretty simple to development. Everything depends on the implementations of classes along with the objects concept. So when we get into the purely development structure, you will understand how it object and how it is a class. Alright, so that's the reason I just want to tell you what other concepts we have. First of all, we have a three concept. The first concept is unstructured data, that is basically used in microprocessor coding. And the second is structured data. It is something called it as the programming of C. It is best example for structure, or else you can also call it as procedural oriented programming. And the third one is object oriented programming. It is one of the major factor where the current world is using now. As you can go for any interviews in the market right now, as you can attend any interview, it's just based on the concept of object oriented programming, either with Java or else .NET. So before, you need to understand why you are learning Java here. Why can't you learning .NET? What are the advantages in Java so that you are learning Java right now? Okay, let me talk about that right now. Okay, so what is the programming methodologies we have? The programming methodology just now I was discussed. These are the three different variations, and here in this part or in this example you can understand unstructured data at something like COBOL, Pascal. All this comes under unstructured data, which has been used earlier languages, and followed by a structured programming language. It's a major programming language. We usually call it as a C, as you can see, the structured program. And the next version of structure is an object oriented programming. See that the major advantage of this will be C++. It is an extension programming of C, first of all, right? What is this extension of programming of C? We will do in C++. This C++ is a bit object oriented, bit not object oriented. Let me communicate with that. So why we are not concentrating on C++, even though C++ is on object oriented? So what are the drawbacks we have in C++? Such a way that to rectify the drawbacks of C++ with the help of object concept, we will make sure that we will do in Java. So that the next version of object oriented programming, if you see here, the object next programming is Java and .NET, where you can see this demand of these two programming languages in market. It's a very huge, means what, every organization in the market right now, it just applications, any application which they are developing, it mostly based on the concept of Java or else .NET. So we have a huge application module developments in this, like for example, as from the applications of, for example, if I'm talking about the applications, what are the different kind of applications we can develop in this, right? And how you can make this application much more easier with the help of Java. Okay, so let me first let me tell you one thing. So what is this object application do, first of all? Okay, so I'm talking about application here, right? So there are a few applications we need to talk about. Before I'm talking about application development, let me introduce what is an application first of all. Alright, so first thing is an application. Alright, so let me have an application first of all. What is this application do? So application means okay, let me talk about applications. Okay, so first of all, there are various applications in the market right now, right? The first application is desktop applications, and second kind of applications are web applications, and third category of applications are mobile applications. Okay, we have different applications in the market. So first thing is we just concentrate on this, what is this application means. So for example, when I'm talking about any application is something which consists of number of different programs in it. Okay, any application. If I'm talking about a web application, this web application consists of number of web programs, where, for example, let me take a best example as a Facebook website. So in this Facebook website, this is what we can call it as Facebook application, web application. What will happen within this? We have a number of web applications. For example, I have a registration page, I have a login page, I have some other page, I have some other pages. See this here, I do write the code for this application of registration will be in different code, and I'll write the code for login is in also different mode. But altogether what I'm trying to do is I'll just combine all of these modules into a single unit. So then I'll deploy this into the market. The deployment process of this one, we usually call it as an application. So what is happening now? Same way, there are a few applications in the market, desktop, web as well as mobile. What is this desktop application do? Desktop applications are the applications which can runs only on a single device. For example, if I'm talking about this is your single device, let's say maybe your laptop, maybe your desktop, okay, anything. So for example, this application will runs only on this machine. If there is another machine, if I'm not install this desktop application, it is also there in the same way. But here, if I'm not install this application here, so what will happen is if I'm not installing here, this application will not run here. The best example I can tell you, the best example for your desktop applications is your say for example Notepad, right? But for example, as you can see, the Windows machine is come along with that. So otherwise, you can take an example as media player as VLC. This media player of VLC, if I install on this machine, I can able to open this in the same machine. But if I'm not install this on the second machine, if I want to open any media file with this particular machine, if I want to open anything with this, I can't open it because this application is not installed here. So that's the reason we basically call it as desktop applications. Majority can be installed only on a single machine. Means what? Only the one system or one laptop. So there are a few applications in the market. There are a few applications in the market which also runs in the different places. For example, I have one desktop application, right? This desktop application will be a number of desktop applications. Imagine that there are a number of desktop applications I have here, and all of these applications are connected in a single network. Let me have a single network here, only single network. I mean to say, you can say LAN, all right, you can say a Wi-Fi device, everything. So these all three are in a single machine or single line. So what will happen is if I install one particular application here, that application will be installed here, install here, install here automatically, so that these three machines simultaneously can able to access this single machine or single application. This kind of applications also in market we usually call it as desktop. The best example is your supermarket application. So if you go for any supermarket like Spencer's or Reliance Market or some other application, in this all machines will be interconnected to a one centralized machine, or we usually call it as centralized server. This centralized server can able to access all these devices continuously. Okay, so this kind of applications also we majorly call it as a desktop applications. Okay, what is the limitations of this desktop application is? The limitations of this desktop application is it only runs on this particular network. Means what? I can't able to run this application outside this. For example, this is the network where I have installed my application, right? I have installed this, right? I want to run on another network. For example, I have another device or I want to have run it on another network. So what is this desktop application do? This desktop applications can't be runs on the second machine here. It is can't able to run it on other networks. Okay, so this is main reason we are making a limit of this. And the best advantage we can take from this desktop, basically without internet also it applications run. That is the reason we can call it as a intranet application. It is not internet, it is called it as intranet. So what is it means? It means to say that this intranet applications does possible to run within several machines of a single network, even though it does not have an internet connection, but it does require a simple LAN connectivity from the server or LAN connectivity from the centralized server, so that you can able to run this application any part here also you can run this. In every place you can able to run this application without having any deviation. But the majorly thing is someone wants, for example, I have a very good idea here, right? So let me briefly complete this applications examples, then after that we'll get into the object oriented programming now. So I have a very good idea. So this idea, as like for example, I have an idea for developing one website, right? So if I doesn't aware of this website, how could I do this, right? So for example, let me have an idea. This idea of my application or my technical knowledge, it has to be published in my college premises. Also, it want to publish in my technical university, and also want to publish in entire India, which is have a different technical universities. Along with that, this application also run on the different parts of the world which have a technical discussions. All right. So all these spaces, my idea has to be run. So for example, if this idea got created with the help of a simple desktop, if I have application, if I am developing this application with desktop, what would happen is, it can happen only with a single network. Means what? I can run it only on single machine. I can run it only on single machine, but I can't run it all this application, these 4 places at a time. That is what the major drawback we can able to find here. So that what we basically do is, we will present one more kind of application. That applications call it as web applications, we call it as websites. If you present your idea within this website, okay, so let me have one idea here, let me have another idea here. So all the different ideas, what I'll do is, I'll put together, I'll develop one website and I'll publish into www, so that whatever I want to publish to the different part of the people, then I can publish with this example, so that we can make sure that we can able to publish this idea to the different part of the world, so that your idea will reaches to the different person, so that you can make your application more and more popular. Along with that, there are last kind of applications we have, that is something called it as mobile application. Right now in our generation, every student or every employee or every person in the world which is maintaining a smartphone, means what to say that, and maintaining the entire world with the help of simple hands, or else maintaining the information of the different parts of the world in the hands. Okay, so that's the reason mobile application is applications which can have, you can run it a web application, you can run it sometime desktop also. All this comes under your different kind of application. With this, I want to conclude what is this applications first of all. So applications are a set of programs. This set of programs can be constructed with several programming languages, and in which we can segregate into 3 different kind of application. One is desktop, second is web, and third one is third kind of applications are mobile applications. 3 kind of applications I want to develop, and that can be in a different way, where desktop one variation, web one variation, mobile is one more variation, right? So now let me get back to the previous session, I mean where we have concentrated. Okay, so we majorly concentrate on the 3 parts here. First thing is your unstructured data. Unstructured data is a help of, you can say, COBOL, Pascal, all these things. You can have a structured programming, that majorly best example I can say C, and followed by unstructured data. The unstructured data is for example, let me talk about directly object oriented programming. The first thing is C++. C++ have a bit drawbacks with object oriented concept, and then we can shift our object oriented programming concept with Java or else .NET. So if I learn Java, where I can set my life goals, where I can set my life goals with .NET. What is the importance promise is this? Okay, so now let me go to next one, so that you will understand the history of your programming is. Okay, so what is this first programming is? The first programming language introduced in 1966, right? 1966, the programming language called BCPL. It call it as Basic Combined Programming Language. It is a base programming. How this has introduced previously, For users, they usually go for mathematical one programming, scientific one more programming, graphical one more program. There are different programs they used to use. I mean, for example, even though it is programming, one particular programming will be used to mathematical calculation. One more particular program is used for scientific calculation. One more program is used for graphical calculations. Okay, graphical kind of thing, like animations and all. Okay, so they used to use a different programming languages. Instead of that, BCPL is come up with that part where it is introduced in 1966 or 68, whatever it is. Okay, there are a few authors will write with the 1966, and there are a few authors will write with 1968. Anything is okay. And this particular programming language called BCPL. Even this programming also have a drawbacks, and after that they are introduced another programming language called another language called B, which is introduced by Ken Thompson in year of 1960s, with reducing a few drawbacks of BCPL. And here they are introduced a concept of something like functions and all. But even though this is also not perfectly all right for the industrial, so then again they are stop using of B. Then the next, this is what a newer sensation into IT industry in earlier 1970s. The concept, call it as C. Very huge applications can be started from the C, as it is in a very good revolution in the year of 1970s. So what is basically a C does? C come up with a base example as functions. I mean, base thing is functions, and followed by they are introduce a graphical application development, and this graphical basically command from graphicals. I mean to say that, so whenever you want to develop any applications with for example C, for example if I'm say C, the first thing is functions. What is this functions we'll talk about in the next coming sessions. Okay. So what is the limitations of C? For example, if I say C, I can only develop an applications of command prompt. I can say only applications which is running on a single machine. So if I want to develop an application of web, it is doesn't possible with C. And also right now newer generation application, something called mobile, it is 100% impossible to develop from the help of C. So I mean we have a lot of story behind why we are not using C now, but as it is compared to security purpose, it would be a bit less, right? As well as per efficiency level also it is bit less, as well as accuracy level also it would be best less. So that's the reason there are a few reasons people still not using a programming of C. But there are guys, if you want to learn Java, right, if you want to learn Java, mandatory you need to have a basics of C. Without having a basics of C, you can't able to learn Java, right? Because as the base programming, everything with the C has been implemented. This C, if you doesn't know, right, learning Java makes you more difficult. Okay, so for that I'll show you with a simple example of, okay, so I'll just show you simple example for this so that you will understand how does the different comparisons in the market right now. So if I'm choose a Java, in which sector I can able to set? If I choose .NET, what sector I can able to select? PHP, right? The first main advantages of Java is, simple, it is open source software, right? So you can directly, it doesn't require any I mean to say open source, I hope you guys know that, without pay, you can directly download from an internet, you can start using of this, okay, without having any applications. Okay, so that is the first part you can able to see, that is you can say open source. And the applications of Java is more secure, so that most people will be used in banking sectors. As you can see, the banking sectors like SBI or else HDFC online banking or else mobile banking, all these banking sectors uses the programming of Java. Okay, why this programming of Java? Because it is have a more security. First thing, majority of an applications which want to provide more security, people chooses Java. And along with that, there is one more advantage to this. The advantage is it's open source software, where no need to pay any money for this software. You can download from directly from internet and you can just start using of it Once you're done with an application, you can give it to client also, they won't charge you any money, right? And what happens with a PHP? Now, because there is another technology called PHP also, right? What does this PHP do is, PHP also, even though it is open source, which doesn't cost you anything for you, even as a developer, as an organization, it doesn't cost you anything. But the major reason about this PHP is, for example, I want to develop a website like a hospital management system. I can develop that hospital management system application, and I can give it to a client person. But where is this important? I mean, where the people are not using PHPs? PHP can't be used for large scale of data. For example, if I have application hospital management, I can do it because it's a pretty simple and I can maintain very less amount of data. For example, if I want to maintain a large amount of data, for example, online shopping website, every day there are terabytes of data will be generated from your application. Terabytes of data, and this data is purely unstructured format. Purely unstructured format. Structured format is a tabular format. Unstructured format data is not in a proper way, right? So for this, we can't able to stick to this. I mean, PHP is not used for large scale of applications. So what is the people will use this? In this case also, people will use this Java as their programming is. And what is the importance of .NET and Java? There are equal importance. There are equal importance for Java and .NET, but Java is open source, .NET is Microsoft own product. Means what? Any software you're going to do, it will cost you the money, first thing. So if a company looking forward to a software which they are able to show interest to pay the money towards a software, pay the money towards an application, people will use as .NET. In security purpose or security manner, Java and .NET almost give you the same security. But if this is open source and this is not open source. And along with this, this can be used in any Microsoft devices. Mean to say that it can be used in any sector of application. I mean to say that Windows platform. Best example is your Windows platform. If someone want to develop an application which has to run only on Windows devices, like Windows mobiles, Windows devices like laptops, desktop, or else it can be anything. All these things can be used with .NET. And here, if you talk about Java, if you talk about .NET, there is one more differences I can show you here. Where if you choose a Java, you have a less amount of graphics are involved in this. Mean to say that there is no much graphics are involved, majorly graphics are not involved here. Along with that, application is more secure. Even though application which is developed in Java is more secure than .NET. But the concept in .NET is which provides you the more security. More security in terms of, for example, let's say animation. Best example is, for example, every Windows application which can provide you more animations, right? For example, all drag and drop options, or else all files and folders, all are graphical interfaces. So if you are providing an application which is related to the graphical interface, user interface, then you have to choose a .NET. But as we are learning the concept of security as well as implementing your application with Java, so we majorly concentrating of your application development with Java. So this is an application programming which is purely of object-oriented programming. So let me talk about object-oriented in the next version, right? I mean to say next session. Basically in this session I'm just giving you the overall idea, what are the applications it means, and what are the technologies are in the market, and what the technology we are learning right now. Alright, so we are learning the technology of Java here. Okay, so next thing is, right. So what is the advantages of Java here compared to the previous versions? So the comparison of the Java which have a more advantages. The first one is big data and Hadoop applications, right? We usually call it as cloud applications. Okay, so big data and Hadoop, it is very huge demand in the market right now, big data and Hadoop. So what is this Hadoop and big data do? And if you want to learn this, you need a base concept of Java. If you are able to write a programming with Java, then you are being half of into big data and Hadoop. I mean to say, you can have a cloud applications, and followed by majority of Android devices uses a Java program as internally. Majority of Android, almost Android, entire Android can be used as the programming of Java to develop any kind of apps, alright. So any kind of apps, in a sense, the apps which you are using in your mobiles, like your Facebook, your WhatsApp, or else your Paytm, all these applications which you are using in Android devices. So all application internally written the code with Java here. So if you are able to learn the Java by basic Java here with object oriented programming, there you have two chances. Then you can learn big data and Hadoop very easily. First thing, very easily you can learn big data and Hadoop, and second thing is you can learn Java, you have more chances to learn to mobile application. And their third version, you can also learn services based application that we talk about in the next later days. And then there are applications we can also use it with applications of API. So we do concentrate on this names or particular words in the next coming days of time. So I'm just want to show you a few things. What is the learning of Java? Because first thing is I want to set your standards towards to learn the next strategies. Okay, the standards to learn Java to make you to learn the next services or next advantages of all these four. So after this, we can also make sure that if I have a Java here, if I have a C here, what are the differences? Now let me show you with a simple example here, the language which I have written in programming of C. The first program I want to write in C. So what are the differences I have to do modifications in Java here? Now let me have, first thing is, as you guys already have an awareness on the programming of C, the first line of your program of C which uses the concept of header files, right? So and followed by you will use the terminology, call it as main function, right, with a return type void, null return type, followed by you will write a simple printf statement to print some message from the programming of C to command windows. Okay, so this is the first program of C we basically use. Okay, along with this, what we have to be in Java right now. So what are the things we get changes here? Okay, so I'm going to show you the demonstration in the next session, but let me talk about this basic idea now. So first thing is, as like a header files in C, we have something called packages in Java here. We have some term called packages in Java. What is this packages do, right? What are the difference between a header file and packages? Okay, one question I want to tell you. Right, here we don't have a concept called it as class. Okay, here as soon as if I'm starting the example here of Java, I'm starting with the help of demo. I mean to say class. Okay, so now let me talk about this. Okay, because there are two factors I was identified. The first factor is what is the importance of packages rather than header files. Second one is what is the use of what is the class here, and third one is I do have a main function here. I do have here I can call it as method. So I do have a main method here, and here also I do have a main method. But what are the differences we have here? Let me talk about. There are third. See that I'm writing public static void main. Here I'm just writing void main. Nothing but there are one more difference or one more thing you need to categorize. That is the third part. And followed by you have a printf statement. It is similar to in Java. We'll use it as system.out.println. So now that is the third one. That is the fourth factor we need to concentrate. Okay. So first I'm talking about from the bottom, printf and system.out.println. What are the differences we have here? Okay. The first one is you can have a system, right, dot out dot println. It is a print message which we have used in Java. Okay, so which is used to print some message, from the current application. Okay, current application. Okay, so for example, it have this application right now. From this application, you want to show any message to the user, then we can have a print message. Okay, so by the time it's time up for the day, so tomorrow when I'm started the session, we could have a clear idea on what is system.out.println, what is class, what is a package, everything we're going to discuss. And then for example, so identifications, whatever I have seen right now, like for example, what are the differences between your header file and package, and second identification is what is the importance of class in Java, and third identification is instead of void main we have written here system.out. Public static void main. Okay, what is the third factor? And then the last factor is instead of writing printf we are writing system.out.println. Okay, there are 4 major factors I want to discuss as soon as if I start the next session. Okay, right. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.